I am Kwesi Amponsa, a lecturer at the Department of Theatre Arts, University of Education, Winneba. Today's presentation is on arts-based research, ABR, arts-based research. For this presentation, we shall be looking at a brief overview or introduction of the ABR. We also consider the origins, where did it originate from the term ABR. We also would look at some definitions of the arts-based research. What do the arts-based research draw on? We will also look at some philosophical underpinnings and their implications as far as the ABRs are concerned. And then we also look at some advantages or some inherent benefits in employing the ABRs. Do we need some specific set skills to engage in ABR? And then we look at some criticism, basic criticism of the ABRs, and then we conclude. First, a brief background or introduction as far as the ABR is concerned. ABR basically is research that employs any art or art form in the process and the procedures as far as the research is concerned. ABR can also be, for me, a paradigm, not just a method of qualitative approach. I say that because I know in my readings I have come to the realization that there are two schools of thought. That arts-based research is one of the methodologies or an approach in the qualitative paradigm. And then the other school of thought also believe that ABR is a paradigm on its own. And so just as you have a quantitative paradigm, a qualitative paradigm, a mixed method, the ABR also stand on its own as an approach to research. I believe in that school of thought, that ABR should be and is a paradigm on its own. Origin of the term arts-based research. Literature has said that it was at Stanford University in 1993 during a presentation by Elliot Esner, presentation that he was doing on a connection between arts and education. And after the presentation, it generated, so much interest that he felt, he should have another platform, an institute or something like a workshop, so that, together they can look at or help them understand how research that is guided by aesthetic features will look like. And so they did that. And after that, I think that the interest kept on going, and so to understand that after that, he felt that there was a need to be able to organize such institutes or such workshop, so that that kind of interest that people were showing in that research, guided by aesthetic features, how aesthetic features will play out as far as research was concerned. And so he even brought in another person who had done some work. In fact, literature has that it was Eliot who supervised that person by name Tom Barone, who had done that PhD that was supervised by Esner to support him to be able to do that kind of engagement. And between 1993 and 2005, they had organized 8 different workshops or institutes. And remember, all of these presentations or institutes or workshops, were attended by scholars and practitioners in the field. And so it meant that they would be leaving each of these workshop or institutes with some kind of mindset, some kind of idea. That interest, was becoming that much higher and higher. And so it meant that with time, various scholars and practitioners were understanding and expanding and exploring the frontiers and other perspectives of ABR. And so that is where it started. From that workshop, the interest became more. The workshops were organized, institutes were organized, and people's frontiers, people's knowledge were open up as far as these things, the ABRs were concerned. And so because of the quest for scholarship in this area, it was becoming more revealing, and more obvious that the premise or the principles and the procedures employed by artists can really serve certain purposes for engaging in social research, so that in various important ways it can complement those of the sciences, and that is how it started. And with time, people's interests became higher, and people came up with other dimensions and other perspectives. And today we have the arts-based research. For me, as a paradigm, as I indicated earlier, one of the strongest paradigms that one can engage in as far as research is concerned. Also, still on the origins, also we can talk about the interests and scholarship of other people, other specific people, such as Patricia Levy, who has done tremendous work as far as ABRs are concerned. She picked it from the sociology viewpoint and expanded it. We can also talk about the fact that arts therapy had been in existence for some time, and so it wasn't referred to as an arts-based research, but it was a method that was in existence. It was being used in science to cure. In fact, around the 1948s, literature has it that art therapy was being used to cure diseases such as leprosy. And once it was being done, and it was being used in hospitals. And so it meant that this process of healing basically was art. The base was art. So we will now look at some definitions of ABR, some definitions that have been espoused by various scholars. A definition by Greenwood 2019 opines that ABR encompasses a range of research approaches and strategies that utilize one or more of the arts in investigation. So what he is basically mean is that a research approach that would fall on any form of art, either one or more, as far as the investigation is concerned, to do the research basically. And so he stresses on the point, which is for me is key. It has to do with the usage or the employment of art or art form. Another definition by Savin Baden et al. 2013 also says it's ABR, it's inquiry that uses artistic processes in order to understand and articulate the subjectivity of human experiences. Also, ABR is methodology for radical, ethical, and revolutionary research that is futuristic, socially responsible, and useful in addressing social inequities. That was by finally 2008. Another definition, as far as the EBR is concerned, says that is the systematic use of the artistic processes, the actual making of artistic expressions in all of the different forms of arts as a primary way of understanding and examining experiences by both researchers and the people they involve in their studies. That was also by McNiff 2008. So my conviction on what EBR is, having a background of all of these things, I think that for me, ABR can be described or defined as the full or partial engagement of any form of art or artistry as a base towards the understanding of exposing any phenomenon. Okay, so we go on to what the ABRs draw on. What do the ABRs draw on? What do they fall on as far as a paradigm of research is concerned? One, they dwell on the literary art forms, essays, short stories, novels, poems or poetry, and all that. Second, they also draw on the performative forms, what we call the performing arts, i.e., theater, dance, music, and all that. Again, they draw on the visual art forms as well. The visual art forms, obviously, you'll be talking about painting, drawing, sculpture, art installations, 3D art, and all those things. It also draws on audiovisuals and multimedia. Okay, examples of them, obviously, film, video, graphics, and all that. And then they also draw on what Levy described as the multi-method forms. And that will obviously mean a combination of two or more of these forms that we have mentioned. And now we would continue and look at the philosophical underpinnings and its implications. Is the ABRs, do they have any philosophical base, or they just exist? And if they do have any philosophical base or philosophical underpinnings, what are some of the implications as far as these philosophical underpinnings are concerned? And according to Chilton et al., 2015, the main philosophical underpinning of ABR has to do with aesthetic intersubjective paradigm, what we refer to as aesthetic intersubjective paradigm. And so basically it allows for access to multiple dimensions of human experience and understandings. Okay, aesthetics we know often draw on the sensory, it draws on emotion, it draws on what we refer to as kinesthetics, and all those things. And so it has some philosophical underpinnings. What are the implications of this philosophical underpinning as far as ABR is concerned? What are some of the implications as far as these philosophical underpinnings are concerned? One, it recognizes art has been able to convey truth or bring about awareness. Okay, again, It recognizes the use of art is critical in achieving self-other knowledge. Again, the implication, one other implication is that it values pre-verbal ways of knowing. Again, it accepts multiple ways, i.e., the emotional, the sensory, all those things that we mentioned as aspects of aesthetics. And so it accepts all of these ways, of knowing. And all of these implications, as far as an opinions are concerned, it's something that has been espoused really by Chelton et al., 2015, as I mentioned, also by Cooper, 1997, and a host of other scholars who have done some work in this area. And now let's consider some advantages or inherent benefits in employing the arts-based research. One, I say it opens up new insights and learning. Two, critical consciousness. That's raising awareness, and empathy. Another inherent benefit is that employing the ABR it looks at it in a very holistic manner. Again, it perturbs stereotypes. It cuts out stereotypes. It challenges dominant ideologies. It goes against established canons. You are able to break barriers and explore, so you can get to the matters that you want to. And so, for me, using or employing the ABRs will be one of the better ways by which you can really research into areas that are very difficult to talk about. You understand, to deal with, to look at areas of the marginalized, to look at serious subjects that people shy away to talk to, and all that, because the arts-based research would obviously curtail and deal with stereotypes. It offers you a platform to be able to launch into what you want to do. It's also participatory. It's participatory. I mean, consider art making. Art making is participatory. One of the better ways by which you can engage kids, for instance, is through arts. And so, what a better way to do any research that has to do with children, if they are children-centered. Employ the ABR is one of the better ways, because children are able to function properly if whatever is being done in a participatory manner. Another advantage of the ABR has to do with the fact that public scholarship and usefulness is gained. Whatever will be gained is shared. The knowledge is out there. It's not you not just keep them in journals and in books that may not necessarily be seen. Whatever that you employ, the arts to do, it's out there. And so all of these inherent advantages, as far as the ABRs are concerned, is reinforced by various scholars, including Elizabeth Euphrates, Hesse Biber, and Levy, and a host of others. And now, another question that we want to consider is, do you need any specific skill set to engage in ABR? Do you need any specific skill set to be an ABR practitioner? And the answer is no. You don't really need any specific skill set. But the only thing is that you have to be a bit art inclined. You should know how to employ the art forms. You should know how to maneuver your way around these art forms, okay, to be able to engage in it in ABR. You have to be very open-minded. You also have to have the ability to think conceptually, and symbolically. You should be somebody who should also be ready to work with ethics, because it's a research process, and basically think like an artist, and all that. And so for me, you don't really need any specific skill set. The only thing is that you should be somebody who has the ability to function in any of these art forms, because it's the art forms that are going to be the base for you to do the research, to collect your data, to do analysis, and all that. And so once you can function properly, very well in any of these art forms, you are good to go. And now, are there any criticisms as far as the ABRs are concerned? Obviously, because it's research, because the output is going to be there, we are going to make inferences and generalizations from these researches. Are there any criticisms as far as the ABRs are concerned? Yes. And if you read literature, I think the basic thing that goes against the ABRs had to do with validity and reliability. And it's because art-based research is very subjective, and because of that, it's always open to interpretation, and so that has been the major criticism as far as the ABRs are concerned, validity and reliability, and so that has been it, and so it means that they think it's whatever conclusions that you may come up with will be too subjective, to understand that it becomes unreliable, and all that, and it has been espoused by various scholars, such as Prosner. And our conclusions. We conclude on this presentation, the general overview of the ABRs. One, my first conclusion is that the ABR is a research paradigm that combines scholarly inquiry and the arts. Okay, and so it means that taking any of the art forms and using them as a base to engage in any scholarly research inquiry. To the ABR, it's heuristic by nature, and what that means is that it's a kind of inquiry that would offer somebody the opportunity to be able to learn by yourself. It opens you up to be able to gain knowledge by yourself. You understand, through the process by which you are engaging to embark on that kind of research. Again, three, I said that ABR, the base mode of inquiry is art, or the artistic process. 5, I say that employment of varied forms of art as a way to collect data, conduct analysis, and also draw your conclusions. Again, I say that the researcher has the interpretive license to create meaning from experience. And then lastly, I conclude and say that it is an evolving paradigm. And so lot of work will have to be done, should be done as far as the areas are concerned. And so it offers opportunity for people who are interested in